We were sitting having coffee in the morning, and so my friend, she came in, and all of a sudden, we were eating nicely, the breakfast, the coffee, I grabbed her hand, I grabbed her arm, just like that. But I could not talk, I didn't say a thing. And then I didn't know anything.
Stroke is one of the leading causes of death in the United States, as well as in New York and Queens. And we know in stroke that every minute is precious. So our goal is to minimize the lapses in the time it takes from the arrival of the patient to the time of treatment. And in this new center, we're going to be able to do that to the maximum extent possible.
Queens has 2.4 million people. It would be the fourth largest city in the United States, and yet they had no access to this acute stroke care. Mount Sinai leadership realized that and realized there was a tremendous opportunity to build something special here.
The care of stroke patients has really been evolving over the last decade, and thrombectomies have become an increasingly important part of the arsenal.
When a patient is having a stroke because of blockage of one of the major blood vessels of the brain, the target of our treatment is to remove that clot. And we do that by going in through the vessels of either the groin, the arm, or directly through the vessels of the neck with very, very thin tubes called catheters. We take those catheters to the target vessel that is blocked in the brain, and using certain technologies, we are able to remove the clot and mechanically take it out of the body, and that can restore the blood flow to the blood vessel, and in the majority of cases, that alleviates the stroke symptoms.
A patient comes in devastated, unable to move, unable to talk, unable to even understand what's happening to them. We go through their arteries and take the clot out. Within minutes, they start lifting up their arm, they start wiggling their toes, they start answering questions we ask them, and oftentimes, in the space of a day or two, they're going home. Not to a nursing facility, not to a long-term care situation. They're getting up, walking out the door, and living the rest of their life. Only about 10% of people who have this kind of stroke ever even get a chance at this therapy. It's because the patients don't have access to that treatment. This center is going to change that for over 1 million people.
It wasn't enough to just offer thrombectomy care in Queens. We thought about the center in terms of how it could be most timely.
So we have a hybrid interventional CT suite that is set up to be able to evaluate patients with imaging and advanced imaging techniques to identify where the clot is, how much of the brain we can save, and how far along in the process they are at their brain requiring saving. We have what we call a biplane angiography suite, which is the larger tool that we use to guide us when we're navigating our tools and catheters from either the wrist or the groin to the brain throughout the body's vascular system to remove these clots.
So a patient doesn't have to go down multiple halls. They don't have to go through multiple doors. They don't need to be transferred from a stretcher to a bed, to a stretcher to a bed, to a stretcher to a bed before they get their treatment. They come in the door, they go 20 yards down the hall, and they're on the exact same table that's going to get their CAT scan, their vascular imaging, their CTA, and then allow the surgery to take the clot out of the brain, all within a matter of minutes. That's not ever been done before.
We're not only trying to bring technology to revolutionize the care of stroke patients here at Mount Sinai, Queens, but we're also trying to set a higher standard of care through our nursing and technologist staffing.
If one looks at the borough of Queens and is extremely conservative in the estimates of the incidence of this disease, it would suggest that there are at least about 600 patients per year in the borough of Queens that have one of these large vessel occlusion strokes. Almost 600. Those patients now are going to have access to treatment.
I'm getting better. I do feel better. I can move my arms, my legs, and I'm free to do things by myself. I don't need anybody to shower me. I can do everything like I used to. but slowly but surely.
Mount Sinai Queens Stroke Center is going to provide a template and an example of what can be done in stroke care. We're going to redefine the conversation about how quickly can stroke patients be treated, how successfully, and how good can those outcomes be.